The problem is that so many people have heard the wrong things. They kind of go through and they've been taught like, well, they think old school, right? Well, I'm going to send 1,000 messages out. And if I get that one person to connect with me and get that one sale, they're like, yay, I got the sale. Actually, no, this is what upset so many people about LinkedIn. What you essentially did was just piss off 999 people. There is a better way.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Win the Hour, Win the Day. And today we have Joshua B. Lee in the house. Now he is known as the dopamine dealer of LinkedIn. So let's talk to the dealer and let's see how he can really help us up our game on LinkedIn. Josh, welcome to the show.
Chris, I appreciate it. Really looking forward to the conversation today. And, I just can't wait to get into all the things that we'll have fun on.
Me too. And you know what? I personally feel that LinkedIn has had a new breath, in the last little while, and it's really becoming much more robust. And I'm just getting a lot more out of it than I had. I've been on it a really long time, like, I don't know, 12 plus years. But in the beginning, I was just there because you should be there. Like I did it because I was supposed to, but now I'm getting something out of it more and more in the last while than I had before. So why don't you talk to us about why should we be there and how can we up our game?
Yeah, Chris. There's so many different things. Like you're not the only one, right? Like so many people are like, well, I have LinkedIn because I was so to. That's professional. That's we show our resume there, but it's shifted so much more to that because as these things have happened, a couple of years ago, Microsoft purchased LinkedIn for one of their largest cash purchases ever, over $24.6 billion cash. And that was a big shift for them because now they want to be able to go in. Not only does LinkedIn want to be able to connect other human beings, but that's what, Microsoft and Satya Nadella over there want to be able to do as well too, right? It's being able to shift this perspective, and they've worked really hard to be able to do that. There's so many different things that you're seeing change from being able to connect, being able to go through. And honestly, this is why I spend so much time allowing people to understand with COVID that just happened, that we continue to go through, like we miss that human element, and people are wanting to be able to have human level connection. And the opportunity to be able to do that on LinkedIn is so powerful because they truly make it in a way that only you as another human being on that platform can connect. They're not letting you get messages from other companies. So,
yeah. And, for me, I went online many moons ago, like long before anybody else. I was using Skype before I think Zoom either was invented or
right there with you.
Yeah. I don't know if Zoom wasn't invented or just wasn't commonplace, but I realized really quickly that even if I had an appointment down the street, even if it's 10 minutes down the street, you had to allow for at least a half hour because you had to park and, you wanted to be on time or early or whatever. Yeah. Right. And whereas you could have 8 appointments back to back on the computer. So I gave up really, first of all, a lot of my clients are in Australia, England, around the world. Obviously that's a better business plan. But even when they were many years ago, local geography, that sitting there at a breakfast and networking, it was just always such an effort to me. And I just, but now I think LinkedIn, if we use this effectively, this is really an opportunity to have meaningful connections and network effectively. So tell us, let's dive in. We don't want to waste any time. Tell us, what should we be doing? Where do we start? Where are we missing the boat? What's what?
Well, Chris, here's the whole thing, right? Like you said, it's a great place to network. The problem is that so many people have heard the wrong things. They kind of go through and they've been taught like, well, they think old school, right? Well, I'm going to send 1,000 messages out. And if I get that one person to connect with me and get that one sale, they're like, yay, I got the sale. Actually, no, this is what upset so many people about LinkedIn. What you essentially did was just piss off 999 people. There is a better way to do it. No, none of us like to get, hey, Chris, I see you're online. Me too. And then you connect and then they pitch you, right? We've all had it. I've been on stage talking about LinkedIn and I get this whole message. Hey, Josh, or on LinkedIn, mine's Joshua B is my first name.
Yeah.
So I know I can pick up automation really quickly. They're like, hey, Joshua B, ever thought about using LinkedIn to get leads? I'm like,
oh yeah.
No, probably not. I've never thought about that, but that's what it is, right? We've got to be able to understand how to start a conversation that turns into a relationship that builds opportunity. And to be able to do that, we've got to be making sure that we're making the people that we're reaching out to, there's an effort, right? Don't just spam 1,000 people. Let's make them advocates and treat them like human beings.
Because I'm pretty vicious about that now. If I get that, I just disconnect from them right away.
Yeah.
And
if I
my
get a blank
other
connection request, I'm out too.
Yeah. And the other equal thing, which I don't get so much on LinkedIn because they get more aggressive, but at least it's a bigger blurb they're copying and pasting. But on Facebook, my pet peeve is, how are you? What the hell?
Yeah.
What? I don't know you. How are you? That is,
Yeah.
I don't even like that in general conversation. It's just a filler, right? So, okay. So, when you're being blasted, and that's a really good point, Josh, is like, okay, that's not a technique. It's not a numbers game. It's a numbers game to annoy people. Got it.
Right.
All
That's
right.
it. Yeah. So
Okay.
let's flip that perspective, right? Because there's a better way to be able to do it. The way that I actually teach and work with our clients is honestly just the same things my mom taught me how to be able to treat other human beings. I'm just doing it online. Because have you seen the movie Social Dilemma? It came out on Netflix like a year
Yes.
ago.
Yes. Yeah.
So, I mean, they talked about how they've conditioned us over
Yeah.
the years, right? They've been conditioning us for 20 years, these social platforms, truly to like, comment, share, post, like, comment, share, post, right? We're in this pattern. And I
Yeah.
mean, as human beings, we need to be able to have pattern interrupts to be able to get to be heard, to be seen, right? And I mean,
Yeah.
on social media, the way that I look at it is if I'm going to be able to connect someone, one, I hate cold call, I hate cold email. Just hate it. If someone calls me, if they don't say hello in the first second, I know I'm about to get, is this Joshua B. Lee or whatever it might be,
Yeah.
trying to be able to call, and they're probably going to try and sell me on something. Well, that's the same thing on LinkedIn, right? How do I actually not just cold pitch somebody? Well, we have to be able to look for these triggers that people do. On
Okay.
LinkedIn, we've got people that actually can look at our profile. We can see who looks at our profile on LinkedIn, on any platform. Really, the things that I'm sharing about, like you can do on any platform.
Okay.
We just use and leverage the platform of LinkedIn to be able to do this for our clients. Someone
Okay.
engages on your content. These are triggers, right? Well,
Yeah.
we take these for granted, right? That comment, like, share, post, comment, like, share, post. How I would suggest you being able to do it is engage with people that engage with you, right?
Okay.
That they're showing interest with you, they're showing opportunity. So why not we go through and appreciate someone for something they've never been appreciated for? In this world, post-COVID, pre-COVID, whatever we're in COVID, we really want to be able to kind of look at, we took for granted these little things. Like I took for granted, not having to wear a mask all the time, being able to go out
Yeah.
with my wife. And honestly, the biggest thing I took for granted was my kids actually going to school, not just the other room and being all home
Yeah.
all
Oh
day
my
with me,
gosh. Okay.
you know?
Yeah.
So online, we take for granted someone looking at our profile, engaging in our content, reach out and say, hey, Chris, I saw you checked out my profile. Just want to reach out and say thank you, right?
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you.
Hold on here. That
Yeah,
is really great. So you say thank you because
right.
so often what
I'm a,
people I've done, I've heard other people say, well, you checked out my profile. Okay, so boom, 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 boom. How can I help you? Boom, 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 boom. You want this? Like, oh,
no.
here's some links, right?
No, you got to be
Okay.
able to go in. Say, I just wanted to reach out and say thank you. Too often we don't appreciate these little things.
Oh
Love to be able
Lord.
to connect with you and find out what pushed you to check me out. Right? We're just starting a conversation.
Okay. Okay. So hold on here. That's really, I want to unpack that. That's pretty powerful. So
Yeah.
you're saying thank you. I just want to reach out and see what made you check out my profile.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is we still are looking to get that connection and potentially a conversation,
Right.
but we're doing it in a much more socially appropriate, less don't put your back up kind of way.
A human way, right? And this is
Okay.
where most people
Write
kind of
this
go
down,
in.
people. Be human like kindergarten. Okay.
Well, I don't worry about the algorithm. I'm not thinking about LinkedIn's algorithm, Facebook algorithm, Instagram. I'm worrying about the one algorithm that really matters, that doesn't change every 6 months. It only evolves over time. It's the human algorithm, right? And if we can
Yeah.
connect on that, we don't have to learn the next trick or next hack every single time something changes. So when you start with appreciation, right, it creates someone a stopgap. Like they take for granted looking at your profile, or, hey, Chris, I saw you like my recent post. I just want to reach out and say thank you for engaging on my post. Love to find out what pushed you to, what you enjoyed about the post, right? Again, I'm saying thank you. I'm starting with that level of appreciation where people go in, they like something, they move on. Well, when they get a thank you for something they took for granted, it makes us stop. It makes us pause. It now we can actually hear and listen to what's happening. And so that's what we want to bring people present to the conversation. But this is where most people mess up. They got the connection, right? Next thing they do, they go, hey, Chris, let me, they're just,
Yeah.
Well, my mom, she always taught me to be able to, when you meet someone, give them a compliment. So
Yeah.
on LinkedIn, the way I look at a compliment is by giving someone an endorsement. So once they've engaged on our content or our post on our profile. So that's first connection, right? We reached out to people to connect them, thank them. Next, we go in and we give them a compliment, an endorsement on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Now, the cool thing about this is this is why I'm called the dopamine dealer, right? These are all just dopamine hits that we're giving someone, keeping them in a flow
Oh,
state.
all
So
right.
LinkedIn then goes, hey, Chris, Joshua just endorsed you. Do you want to reach out and say thank
Oh,
you?
okay.
Right?
Hold on. That's pretty powerful because you know why? I never paid any mind to those. Like I will ask for testimonials and that's
Right.
great. But I just thought the endorsements were fluff. But even if they are or not, they're now being flagged for it. So the power is in the fact that they've been notified.
Correct.
Okay. All
Now
right.
LinkedIn's
That's
doing the work for you. They're saying,
okay.
hey, Josh just
Yeah.
engaged you for,
Okay.
marketing, right? Whatever it might be.
And
Do you
who
want to
doesn't
say
love
thank
that?
you?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Now you
Yeah.
just hit that little button. And so
Okay.
it's really them starting the conversation like, oh, thanks, Chris, for endorsing me. Right. So
Yeah.
they're kind of starting the conversation now. I
Okay.
can then go in and make it about them, right? Because
Right.
this is what we're trying to be able to do. People like to be able to be those experts in their field. So in this
Okay.
situation, I'm going to go in and ask them a qualifying question. Hey, Chris, happy to do it. Hey, quick question while I have you, right? This is ability to be able to ask where they are because most people try and sell you on where they believe you to be and don't meet you
Right.
where you are. So if you ask
Right.
them something about them, then you can provide value based on how they answer. I don't respond to anyone. So the whole process, right? They looked at her profile, we reached out to connect. They connected. Now that's the next trigger to endorse. Once they respond to the endorsement, then I ask them a qualifying question, right? I'm not going in because we're not going, I'm going to send you 10 messages to you respond or I piss you off.
Right.
We're,
Okay.
we're
So
looking for these new triggers to continue the conversation.
So in our case, where we work with entrepreneurs, so you should have a business that supports your life instead of consuming it. And I believe you should be in what we call the win formula, 60% execution mode, right?
Yeah.
That's a little bit done with your win team and also our super toolkits. So my qualifying question would be in the lane of, hey, are you like so many of the entrepreneurs I work with, or you've been doing this 5-6 years at minimum and you're still grinding out and thought you wouldn't be at this point? Or is that still we're sliding into sales?
It's a
Where does
little too much. So you want to ask
and I
like a
agree. That's why
question
I'm
that
asking
gives
you.
that's more around the mindset, right? I think
Yeah.
mindset questions are the most powerful. So,
Okay.
I've been blessed to work with people like Joe Polish and Dan Sullivan with Strategic Coach.
Yeah.
And one of the most powerful questions that we developed for them was, we said, thank you. I'm happy to offer endorsement. Hey, quick question while I have you. Do you consider yourself an entrepreneur or a business owner with an entrepreneurial mindset?
Okay.
Right? Because it's making someone think, but it's also giving us an A, B, and a silent C answer. Because someone go, well, I'm an entrepreneur. Cool. That tells me either they're early on in their career, starting out, or if they consider themselves an entrepreneur, they've been doing it for too long, they're probably close to burnout because we all can't be entrepreneurs our entire life. That's 24/7 work. If
Okay.
they say business owner with an entrepreneurial mindset, well, they probably see themselves. They've got employees. They've been doing this for a while. They're going through, they see themselves farther and there's a different mindset. Or I can get that silent answer C, Chris. I work for somebody else. And with guys
Oh,
like that, when we were doing those things, that was the amazing thing because I truly believe in also not just leading with value, but leaving with value, even if they're not your client. With Dan, we helped him launch his book with Benjamin Hardy, Who Not How, which is a remake of
yes.
his original book. And so
Mm-hmm.
it was like, oh, that's amazing. Hey, I'd love to be able to offer you. It's so great to be able to where you're at in your career. I'd love to be able to offer you my book. It was a free plus shipping offer.
Okay.
Right. So now you're always leaving with value at the same time.
So you don't think that, hey, do you consider yourself an entrepreneur or business owner? That doesn't sound, and I'm not judging you, please. I'm
Yeah.
understanding the process, right?
Yeah, of course.
Because I did think the angle I gave you was too much. Do you not think that looks like a little bit of a hook, almost like, do you believe in the environment? Do you know what I mean? Like, or like, how is that question received? Obviously, it's received well because you're still using it,
Yeah.
but they don't
Well,
see it as a thing.
entrepreneurs rarely see themselves. They don't consider the difference. A lot of times, most entrepreneurs don't see the business owner with entrepreneurial mindset versus entrepreneur. And
Okay.
sometimes they'll ask the question, hey, wow, what's the difference? Right. They want to be able to
Right.
understand. And what you're trying to be able to do is understand how they say, like, I always say too, like, hey, we always love to lead with value, right? Or I always like to understand who I'm
Yeah.
connecting with and lead with mindset, right? Where do you see yourself?
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
again making them like you can ask so many different questions, but you want to
Okay.
understand where they are and allow them to be able to respond. Like if they don't respond, we're not giving them we're not following up them out. Like we're letting them lead the conversation.
Right.
What we're trying to
So
do is
that's a
open up
great
conversation.
example, but we could use anything as long as we're going from the mindset perspective.
And you just don't want to ask yes or no questions.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, like yes or no questions end in a stop of a conversation, because I want to be able to start a conversation that turns into a relationship that
Okay.
creates opportunity. And
Okay.
so if with that, there was different things, Chris, like if they said entrepreneur, okay, we could offer them a PDF. We could offer them an
Okay.
evergreen, webinar to be able to educate themselves. If they said
Okay.
business owner, we can get them on a call. Hey, that's amazing. I'd love to understand, why you see yourself there. Can you jump on a call with me for 15 minutes and tell me more? Right.
Okay.
We did this often. I mean, with those are $10,000 programs, but you'd be amazed at the end of it. Wow. Thank you so much. We really appreciated just the conversation, because most people go straight into the pitch and they're not making it about that person. And because they're in a flow mindset, keeping them in those dopamine hits, it's an open conversation. They're not waiting for the sale. They're not waiting for it. And you're not selling anyone. You're providing value based on how they answer.
Okay. So I'm thinking 4 or 5 steps ahead.
Yeah.
So bear with me, slow myself down. So when we get them and we're focusing on the mindset and they say, okay, whatever, entrepreneur or, depending which path you want.
That's just one question. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just one question, but we're using it as an example. So then you say, oh, that's, or did you want to hop on a quick call to see, whatever, you worded it much more eloquently. Let's hop on I'd love to hear more. Let's hop on a quick call. Or would you like to hop on a quick call? That's one option. Or then let's say you had a book that does subscribe to that mindset. Would you send them the book? Because A, it's a free thing and you're engaging them, but B, then they're going to read the book. Like you're slowing down the engagement process, because now they think I have to go off and read that book. Like, how do you move through this quickly?
Depends
or
on
is quickly the wrong word?
Well, I mean, this is the whole piece, right? We're doing these with our clients. We're doing these conversations, because it's organic. So it's a slow, like we're not doing paid, we're turning clients over. Most of our clients have products or services that start around $5,000 and go up to 50. So they're not trying to get thousands of leads. And that's not what I do.
Right.
I'm not teaching people how to do lead generation. I'm teaching them how to actually do business development, how to build a relationship. Right. And, really connect with their audience. Because what I want to be able to do is, if they say business owner, that's amazing. Love to be able to connect with you. Or, wow, I love, I love working with people just like you that are business owner, that had that type of mindset. I'd love to invite you to an exclusive webinar.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
We've done that too. Right now, I'm inviting them based on their mindset to an exclusive webinar that I know will add value for you. That's it.
So when I said move through quickly, in my mind, let me rephrase that, because you're right. This isn't what I love what you're doing, which is the anti of what I just said. It sounded like I was looking at a numbers game. I wasn't. But when you do this in a healthy and strategic fashion, could you give us a time frame? Like, do you think this on the average, this would take you from 2 to 8 weeks to nurture this? Or I know everything is unique, but what does that look like? Ish.
And I could show you. I mean, it depends if you want. If you wanted to see something, I could share my screen. You could see it, but I know it's on a podcast. But, one of the things, like, we've taken this conversation from someone engage on a post, all the way to opportunity in 7 days. It all depends on how fast, but because we're having, like, when our clients come in, like, if we take over their entire presence on LinkedIn, we become them in its essence.
Right.
Like, we're doing this 100 times a day and engaging with these people. Right. So we're going through to be able to do this. Now, it doesn't take everyone. You can go in and just do this an hour a day.
Right.
And I guarantee you, as you continue to go in, even after clients have, let's say a client's worked with us for 6 months and we've reached our point and they move forward. Well, they'll continue to get these messages because we built this organic platform for months on end. I've had clients go like, Josh, are you still on our LinkedIn account? I'm like, no, but we started these conversations because we're opening up the conversation to be able to continue to go in. And because also too, Chris, there's another side of this. I only told you the active people, someone looking at your profile or engaging. The other side, that's social engagement, right? There's also social listening, right?
Okay.
Everyone posts online for one reason above all else. I don't care who you are, what you think you're trying to be able to do. The first and foremost, the main reason we all post online is for those hits of dopamine we all get when someone likes or comments on our post, right?
Yeah.
And then it's everything else, because we've been trained, we've been conditioned to be able to look for these things. Well, on LinkedIn, The cool thing is we have sales navigators, LinkedIn's built-in CRM system.
Yeah.
And you can actually go in there, identify your audience, and then also see who's posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days. So now if I see you post on LinkedIn in the last 30 days, I can like your post. I can comment on it because most people get less than 1% engagement on LinkedIn.
Okay, hold on.
You're like, whoa, yeah, no.
Wait, hold on. Because I have Sales Navigator. We just talked about that in another show. That's fine. All right. But I didn't look at it, that feature. So I could say whatever. I want entrepreneurs who've been in business 5+ years, la, 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 la. Here's my criteria. Then I can see all their posts and they can organize or categorize it.
Out of those, I can see who's posted online in the last 30 days. So I want to make sure I'm connecting with people that are active.
Okay.
And then I want to give
are they there? And I can go in and now comment on those posts.
Now you can go in, go to their profile, like and comment on the post, then reach out, start with that appreciation, right? I'm giving that hit of dopamine first because everyone, I don't care who you are, everyone wants someone to like and comment on your post. Then you reach out and say, hey, Chris, I saw your recent post. Wow, great job. Love what you're sharing on LinkedIn. Love to be able to connect with you. Seeing there's a lot of synergy.
So that's so much more.
Then we're rolling the same thing, right? No change, endorse, qualify, provide value.
Right. And so then also that's so much more effective than going through the friggin' scroll where you get distracted. Now you start looking at somebody else and you're like, oh, I should be doing that. Do we do that? And now you forgot what you went in there for. Right.
Exactly.
So that condenses it. Okay. Oh my gosh.
This is all like very topical. I mean, like I teach this a lot deeper, but I mean,
the concepts are what we're here for.
I just want everyone to really understand, like there's so much power and all we're doing is treating other people like human beings, right? We're not selling them and they're choosing to work with us based on that conversation, not being sold into working with us. And there's a huge difference in that. When someone chooses to work with you, it's so much more powerful. And if they don't, because you treat them like a human being, they leave as an advocate. And they're like, wow, I really enjoyed the conversation with Chris. She, even though she didn't try and sell me, she offered me value. And at the end of the day, what if that one advocate turns around and tells 10 other people about you? That's so much more powerful than this one scale.
Okay. So keep going. Don't even, we're just,
but that's
take over the show, Josh. Okay. All right. So, So then just engage, endorse. We can do the endorsement, make it about them, send them messages. We got that. We're recapping. And then also if you're using Sales Navigator, which everyone out there, we have talked about that in another show. And it's, I think we're all about free here for sure. Cause there's so many different places you can spend money, but I do think the more we're learning that Sales Navigator is the one place you want to make an investment. Okay. Yeah. And so then we can look at the post. So we've got about 5 minutes left because we're stretching the time for Josh here. Cause we're all like on pins and needles. Why don't you just cover over some other very obvious misses that we're doing, or just, we don't know what we don't know, but we're going to give you a little extra time here.
So here's the whole piece, Chris. If we don't go in, like all this whole strategy doesn't matter if your brand doesn't stand out on LinkedIn. This is the biggest miss. I see so many people go in and I want to make sure we hit the tip of the spear, right? Because here's the whole piece. If you don't have your personal profile set up to be able to tell your career journey and allow that to be the spear to be able to sell, none of this even works because people are going to go in and look at your profile. Most people go in and they set it up as their resume. Unless you're looking for a job, it should not be a resume. It should tell a story of who you are, what you've done, and where you've been. It starts off with your profile picture and your banner, but also with your headline. Most people go, let's say Chris Ward, author, right? Well, that's great. It says it in there. Or, Chris Ward, podcaster. Well, that doesn't not customer facing forward. I like to really go with the I help X to achieve Y so they can do Z. I help X identifies your audience so they can do, so I help X to do Y. That's the service you provide. Most people sell on the service, not the outcome. So they can have Z. This is the outcome of what you're going. That should be your headline. That draws people in. They go, oh, that's me. I need that service. Oh my God, I want that outcome. That's the emotional tie. So these are those things that you need to make sure your profile set up really that headline, being able to go through. And when you talk about your about section, making it about you, not that third person. And then also even going through all the other aspects. Like we could do an entire hour on profile building, I'll tell you.
All right. He may be back, people. I'm just telling you. So listen, So I think, and I humbly say, because I've spent a lot of time and energy and investment on it, I would humbly say that my profile is better than most. Okay. So I'm hitting the mark on a number of things. However, at the top, when you say Chris Ward, I would have, whatever. I don't even know what I have. I should know. But anyway, say something like leveraging or we help you, stop working
No,
so
but
hard or
you've
something like
got that,
that.
Chris. I mean, I help entrepreneurs like you have a business that supports your life instead of consuming it.
Okay. But I still have author and podcaster up there.
No, you don't.
No, I
You don't
don't.
need
Oh,
to,
look
because
at
I can
me.
see
I'm
that
great.
I can see that underneath there, right? Like you're doing a great job to be able to do that, and you're using
Okay.
your headline. You did it because I can see on the side, win the day, win there. I see it on the right hand side. LinkedIn does that
Okay.
for us. Why waste the
Okay.
space?
Right. Okay. So I'm tweaking it all the time. So I don't even remember I last tweaked it. Okay. So we're good there. Okay. Awesome. All right. So again, back to you, Josh.
No, I mean, like this is the great, like, Chris. I mean, like going through, like you're doing great things to be able to, go through your about section as well. You're giving that information. You've got call to actions right there in your about section. These are those things, and the other piece that I want to look at, experience. Now, I will tell you, I'm missing out a little bit. Like I see your experience on here with your productivity, your team, your speaker, your podcast, but it's not telling me more, right? Like you weren't born a podcaster, a marketer. Tell me your story, how you got there. Relatability is amazing. Like when you look at my profile, you'll see I used to work at Chili's as a server. I want people to understand my career journey. I want them to
Oh, see, I
understand
took
how
all
I
that
became.
out.
Now you're missing. These are all because LinkedIn is extremely SEO optimized, especially for Google. They
Okay.
call it Moz score. 100 is for to SEO rankability is 100 out of 100. So everything you're doing, you want to be searched not only and found on LinkedIn but on Google. So these are all points of context. Tell that story. Be able to go through there and be able to don't leave anything behind. Because how many times I get messages going, "Oh my God, Josh, you worked at Chili's? Me too." Guess what? That starts a conversation, builds a
See,
relationship.
I think you're right. I was still looking at like a resume because I was
You
thinking that's
are.
irrelevant. So when I started out like almost 15 years ago, our company was Shadow Blast and it got mushroomed by Win the Hour because Win the Hour was like a sub thing and then it just outgrew it. So I even took Shadow Blast off because I was like, well, that's just confusing now because that's something,
It's your
it's
past. Still made you
right.
who you are today. And that
Yeah.
allows people to go, wow, she's like me, right? People
Okay.
want to be able to find someone that is as a guide on the journey, like
Okay.
beside them. They go, wow, she's been where I've been.
Oh,
She's been where
yeah.
I am now. And I
Okay.
can only imagine to be able to get to where she is. So we have to be able to show them that we went down that journey.
Okay.
So these are those pieces that I want you to, I mean, look, again, we can continue on, but those are just some of those main pieces I want people to take into consideration. Like go through, add all those information, add if you've, if you, help people, if you like me, like I, up until COVID, I was the resident Spider-Man at Dell Children's Hospital here in Austin, Texas.
Wow.
Right. I want people to understand that like I give back my time, I connect, I have different aspects of my life that I go through because it humanizes me.
I think you're right. We're still thinking resumes. So in my Shadow Blast section of the business being there for like whatever, 12 years, would I put there in that write up and then Shadow Blast got like not swallowed up by Win the Hour? Would I show why it's not there or it's just irrelevant? It's really
There's
just my
just, you have
history.
the end date, right? It goes in there. It
Yeah.
tells you what your
Oh,
present, what's
okay.
past. It tells you the years
Okay.
you were there. It's okay.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, go through because I mean these are all opportunities. And the more time, the more things that we have on our profile like that are that are searchable, that are indexable, the more times that we're potentially going to show up in search, the more times that we draw people to us. I don't want you to have to always go after everyone. I want people to be
Right.
drawn to you. So the more points that I have in my profile, the more points of information, the more opportunity I show up in search, the more people that find me rather than me going to find them.
Right. Right. I've been told this before too, because I remember for a while, I didn't even have Ryerson where I went to university because I thought, well, that's irrelevant now. It's not
Yeah.
like it was 3 years ago. And there are people, no, then
I've
you're
got my
like
high
that.
school on there.
Yeah. So, okay. Oh my gosh, Joshua, you've been a real treat. Joshua, where can people learn more of your brilliance? Clearly they should check you out on LinkedIn, but where else can we look? Or
Of
should we
course,
just go
Chris. I mean,
there?
I love people find me on LinkedIn, and especially when,
Okay.
like a podcast like this, if you're listening, I want someone to send me that personal message. I hate when I just get the blank connections. Send me a personal message and say, hey, I
Yeah.
heard you on Chris's podcast. This is why I love her. Because Chris, the cool thing is they tell me that, then I can go back to you, go, oh my God, Chris, look at all these amazing messages I got about why people love you and heard us on the podcast. Right. So it builds a relationship with me and you. And then at the same
Yes.
time, like, look, you can find me on standoutauthority.com, our main website. But seriously, I want to build relationships with people. I want to have conversations. So find me on
Let's
LinkedIn, Joshua B. Lee.
let's not gloss over that little ninja trick he slid in there. So the whole, yes, I heard you. Chris is amazing. That's all the stuff. So now we're being just very gracious and wonderful to the host. You're giving them accolades. And now if that happens and one person even reaches out and says, yeah, this is what happened, then you get to connect back to me. Like it's just a spider web you're creating, right?
Correct. Yeah.
He let that one slide by, but that was a ninja one. Okay. Josh, you have been a blast. We're so lucky to have you. It's the quality of people like you that I think makes this an absolutely stellar podcast, if I do say so myself. So everyone, as you're driving, pull over and give them a round of applause, and put the video, the podcast on pause and replay it because there was lots of value bombs here. Everyone else, we will see you in the next episode. And again, Josh, thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris. Bye, everyone.